Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope that everything is well with you. I hope that everybody is healthy, and I want us to take this quarantine time to really take a respite and a sort of pause to reflect on everything that we've been doing. Obviously, this is a language channel, so we're going to be talking about languages and reflecting on our polyglot routine, just to reorganize that and rethink that, because obviously now we have a lot more time in our hands, or presumably at least for college students. So the first thing that I want to talk about is how to learn a language from home. Actually, I've never learned a language from home. As I said in my first video ever. You can find that if you really want to. But I basically just say that I learned Spanish in my house because my parents are Colombian. Then I learned English here in the US, and then I learned the other languages at school. Just because I had those resources, and obviously who wouldn't take advantage of that, right? But the thing is that I have heard a lot of people, especially on the internet, talk about learning a language from home, and I'm really interested in that prospect, because I'm not always going to be in school, and I'm not always going to have that opportunity to be at a university that offers language classes. So my point is that I have never ever tried to learn a language from home. At least I don't think. Well, I tried with Duolingo, at one point, but I massively failed. I remember that I would just go on Duolingo and choose a language, whichever I was feeling, and then try it out for 2 days and stop and quit because I didn't have the motivation to do it. I didn't take that personal responsibility to really put the effort on the language, and therefore I failed. But I really want to give this experiment a try, and I'm going to talk to you guys about what I want to do, and maybe to inspire some of you to take on a new language. I don't know if you guys are at all acquainted with this channel. You know that I am huge in personal responsibility, as I showed you in one of the videos I made comparing the Colombian educational system with the American educational system. You saw, or at least the moral of the story was that it doesn't matter how good the institution that you go to is. I personally go to a university that specializes in languages. However, I do see a lot of people wasting that opportunity because they don't have self-motivation to really take advantage of that. So you could have all the resources at your disposal and not really learn anything if you don't actually make the effort to. Obviously, it is a privilege to have that, but I want to prove to myself that even with the internet and with all the resources that I have accessible in my computer, which I think are accessible to all of you, gathering that you are all on YouTube, I want to prove to myself that I can still make language learning affordable, and that it can be a thing that can be consistent for me. So now that we got personal responsibility out of the way, the second thing that we have to know is, what language are we going to learn? I mean, this is obviously a very important question, and also a very personal question, and let me just explain to you why. When I really started making progress with learning languages was when I realized this very simple but not talked about a lot tip, and that is, well, at least for me, this really works. I don't know if this will work for you, but at least I thought that I would bring it to the table. I really started making a lot of progress when I started learning languages that were from the same family. So as you guys know, I speak Spanish, I speak English, and I speak German. All of those languages come from different families. English has kind of it's half and half, but anyway, it doesn't have a lot of sister languages, which is kind of a shame. But in the case of Spanish, it does. It has Italian, Portuguese, French, Catalan. But anyway, so it was super easy for me to learn all those languages, not only because I already came in with a lot of vocabulary, and the more Romance languages I learned, the easier it was to approach the next one, but I also knew the scaffolding of the language. So I knew that, for example, they use subject, verb, object, right? And that it's a simple thing, but it's actually very different in other languages. So for example, in German, the verb comes at the end, and that is the standard structure for most sentences. So it was a little bit hard to understand German and to study it by myself. I tried. just because it was kind of like a completely different scaffolding, and I had to be in a completely different mindset in order to approach that. So in terms of what language I'm going to learn another Germanic language, and that is going to be, can you guess it? I'm going to learn Swedish. One of the reasons for that is because I think 2 years ago I started dating this Swedish guy, and I started looking up on, Swedish words or whatever, and I really like the language. But most importantly, because I just watched the movie Midsommar, and if you don't know about it, it's about these American kids who go on to Sweden, and then they have to live in this commune, and a lot of macabre things happen there. But the point is that I started hearing a lot of Swedish in the movie because the commune was Swedish and they spoke Swedish to each other. But in any case, I was absolutely surprised when I heard a phrase and I understood it. It was like, whoa, like what the whoa. That was the scariest part of the movie. But also the most eye-opening, in the sense that I'm like, wow, I'm really cracking this language thing. And it is really true, the thing that they say, that the more languages that you learn, the easier it is to learn other languages. So it was awesome that I was able to understand a little bit of Swedish because I already knew German. But I think that is the reason why I'm choosing that language. Obviously, there are a lot of factors that come into play when it comes to learning another language and choosing another language. One of those could be like accessibility to resources, or the people who are around you who speak that language. I don't have a lot of people in my life who speak that. I live in the United States, I don't live in Europe, I don't keep contact with a lot of Swedish people I know too. But I was really drawn to the language for some reason, and I think that learning something else, for example Chinese, I have a lot of Chinese friends, would be super hard, and just to my detriment, in the sense that it would be so hard that I would get unmotivated by it, and all would be for nothing, because I've already done this and been through this process of like starting to learn a language and then giving up. And I want to make this process successful, so I am going to learn something that I am familiar with. Obviously, that is what I feel most comfortable with. You guys can do whatever you want. If you want to really go out there and take a huge challenge, then I suggest you do that. I suggest you totally do that, and hopefully you knock it out of the park, and that you are absolutely successful with your journey. I think that my journey is a little bit different, in the sense that I really think that it was really useful for me to start learning languages based on the same language family. I think that the reason I was able to learn German was because I had an intense German program at my university, and I was able to understand the scaffolding and understand the logic of the language, and progressively get acquainted with that with a lot of help of a lot of professors, and obviously drills and meeting people and speaking German in like a very structured environment. So now that I have that in my mind and internalized, I think that I can really successfully apply it to this new Germanic language. So in essence, this entire video is just to motivate you guys to choose any language, and tell you some of the tips and tricks that I do or that I'm doing right now to teach myself any language from home. I will probably explore more of that on that video. I also want to update you on the plans that I have going forth for the next few months. I'm going to make an update on my Portuguese. So as some of you guys know, if you've been following this channel, I started learning Portuguese at the beginning of this year, and it has improved so much, or I'm not even going to judge myself. I'm going to let you guys do that when I upload that video, which is going to be probably next week. I'm also going to be talking about how to measure your fluency, and I'm going to give you tools that are really great to tell you how fluent you are in a language. Obviously, these are not like official tests, but they are very good gauges of your vocabulary and your fluency. So we're going to be talking about that on another video. And of course, I'm going to do like a Duolingo review if you guys want, based on the things that I learned from Duolingo on Swedish, and if I think that is an effective tool. Probably I'm also going to do a home routine, like a polyglot home routine. And I hope that you guys take advantage of this opportunity. I know that the virus has been kind of like, I mean, it has been a curse for many people, but if you're fine and healthy, the only thing that I hope is that you can take the positive things out of this, and this might be the only opportunity that you get in your entire life to take a respite, like one of this kind. And I hope that we can make this time productive and useful and fulfilling and meaningful to our lives. So with that message, I'm just gonna leave you guys. I am actually going to start my polyglot routine, and I am super excited for that. So I will see you next week. Bye guys.